All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I'm
Hello.
I'm less nervous. Now I got it down. I am familiar again, coming back at it. But yes, we're continuing our conversation from our last episode. And so, but this time make it a little bit more personal. So I feel a little less nervous about sharing about other people's numbers and other people's experience. But anyway, aside from all of that, I just wanted to say we are a podcast that covers a variety of topics from faith, enneagram, being a third culture kid, navigating adulting, and we have a lot of brain dumps in our episodes. And before we go into our episode, my name is Yehna.
And I'm Jessie, and welcome to our 11th part two
Woohoo!
episode of
At
At
the
the
table.
Table.
Yay.
I love how we're like, phew, now we can breathe. We can start spilling our lives because we love talking about
Ourselves.
ourselves.
Literally what I was thinking.
JK, I don't, but no, but it's gonna be good because like it's based on our experiences and we're not talking about like, oh, I've noticed I resonate or like I recognize some of the different enneagram types and like, oh,
Right.
this reminds me of this person. But now it's like,
Right.
no, we get to just full on expose ourselves and that's more comfortable than
Mhm.
exposing other
Other
people.
people. It's like these people are just terrible people in our lives. No, not at all what we were trying to get at.
We're here to share how terrible we are. No,
Yes. And how we're trying to be better. Just kidding. Anyway.
it's all about being better here. But we will cover just stating again what the burnout looks like for each of our Enneagram types, which, if you've been listening to our episodes before, for Yehna, it's a 9, and for me, it's a 2. Uh, and we'll kind of walk you through different burnout experiences that we've um, had in our lives through different stages of our lives. Obviously, we're still young and we only have like 3 major stages. So much wisdom here.
So much wisdom. We're just so old. Just kidding. Take
So
us away.
lots to share, right? It's okay. No, it's dense. It's dense. We've got some good stuff.
Yes.
And then just tips on how to grow. So, we'll read again the tips for us, and then we can kind of see what we're doing, what we feel like we should be doing out of that list, and go from there. So, start us off.
All right.
Let's start with yours. Can you talk about your burnout,
Yes.
Enneagram 9?
Yes. I'm just gonna go over kind of, the definition. And again, I want to reiterate, this is not my resource. I get this off of your Enneagram coach, which they are on Instagram. So if you want to just look over, they have infographics and other cool stuff. But anyway, back at it. We're reading nines, exposing myself over here. So when in burnout, a nine will shut down when they feel any ounce of anxiety or feeling overwhelmed or stressed. And number two, they would be increasingly forgetful, especially as they put more on their plate. Um,
Mm,
and third, they become more stubborn and irritable, especially to those that they love.
mm.
And yeah, that's a nine. Then moving on to our did we want to no, yep, moving on to two. What does a two look like in burnout? I like this because I can actually expose Jessie and I love that. Just kidding.
Hey.
Twos start to become more manipulative and they start to insert themselves into other people's lives, believing that they know the needs of others best and they feel that they need to help others. And two, they will begin to complain more about how they do more than others or how they complain about the lack of appreciation and acknowledgement for what they do. And thirdly, they become more frantic and chaotic around those um, around them, and because of the overcommitments, the overcommittedness they have with literally everything. So, but yes, those are our numbers when it looks like, or when we are burned out. And I only laugh because some of them are a little too accurate that it hurts.
I was gonna say, like, I already know this stuff, but every time I hear it, I just always, it never gets old. I'm
No,
always just dying inside a little bit. Oh,
especially
yeah.
too, they make it
Yeah.
sound really bad.
Okay,
I'm,
thank you.
but at the same time, never mind. I'm not gonna go there.
No, we'll get there. I know there's a lot to unpack with twos, but let's not worry about that
That,
right
let's
now.
not. I'm not gonna worry about it. I just worry about myself. Worry about yourself.
Oh God. No, let's start with the nines because I mean, yeah, let's start with the nines because Yana, I mean, everyone in the world already knows that shutdown is your go-to. But before we really, really dive into that, can
Yes.
we kind of get an answer from you of like the other things that they talked about
Mm,
before we dive into the shutdown? Because I feel like when I think of
yeah.
you, I think of like I can see the other things within your family unit, but
Yes.
Yana as a friend, I see the shutdown. It's like shutdown, then the other things, you know? So let's hear the other stuff before we
Mm,
get to the big part, if you don't mind.
yes. No, for sure. All right. Second one in the bullet points was being very forgetful. And honestly, I think if nines were just running about in their burnt out state, people would genuinely think we would have an ADHD diagnosis. Um, I'm not saying it's
Sorry, I
bad.
shouldn't laugh.
I'm not
It's
saying
I'm
that.
laughing because Yana self-diagnosed herself as ADHD. So I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that. Keep going.
Hey, it's perks of being a special ed teacher, right? Just kidding. Um, yeah, that's another thing. I'm self-diagnosed. JK. I'm sure people who are counselors listening to this will cringe and die
Yikes.
inside. So forgive me. Anyway, but yeah, it really is. I think the moment I go to, this is a prime example, the moment I go into the kitchen to like wash the dishes, let's say, I will literally suddenly go into the fridge to cut up cucumbers instead and forget that I was in the kitchen trying to go wash the dishes. And then secondly, then I'll suddenly turn around and be making tea for somebody unprompted. And but at the end of the day, I forget why I went into that room. And really it's as dumb as that. Or I will, and if on the more serious end, I will forget to prioritize anything.
Mm,
It's whether it's my health or in college my assignments, um, or just like I would overbook myself in the sense that if I have a dinner with Jessie, I would somehow have another plan literally in the same time and same day
mhm,
and not organize my schedule properly, which is
mm,
crazy. So it really just looks like my brain is all over the place and I don't
mm,
have anything set. I don't have anything organized, and I'm not saying that's like a terrible way to live or anything, but for someone who needs structure, it I could not. I just wasn't functioning properly. And so by the end
mhm.
of the day, I'm completely wiped out because I was doing everything under the sun except the things that I need to do.
Right. Like I remember you were just so exhausted and I'd be like, "Oh, like was it a hard day? What'd you do?" And you're like, "Honestly, nothing." Or like honestly everything else besides
But
what I was supposed to
yeah,
do.
and therefore you will see me in lower beamer or in the lounge cramming a 10-page paper. A lower beamer is a place in Wheaton, but just cramming it literally when it's due at 11:59 and I'm sitting there at 10. Hey, I was a pro at it. But
Taught you
yes.
some important life skills there.
Oh, yes, life skills. But yes, that
Yes. That I know, but now that you like say it, I'm like, oh yeah, I do see that here and there, but like not
Yes.
as prevalent as the other one. But what was the third one that you mentioned
Yes.
about lashing out? No, not lashing out.
Is like it pretty much can lead to that, being more irritable and
Mm,
stubborn. Okay, so stubborn. That's the interesting one because you would think as a nine, like the definition or a very stereotype of a nine is that we're very easygoing in a sense that we're just willing to do anything and everything that just we're like go with the flow. If you
right.
want McDonald's, we'll go to McDonald's. If you want to just eat in the house, I will eat in the house. I really don't have a preference. Of course, not all the time, but usually we're pretty chill about it and we genuinely mean it. But the moment that we are now so exhausted physically, mentally, everything that we've like put bottled up, even to the like it this that's when we become honestly very dangerous. We will
Mm-hmm.
remember, aside from me, for example, we'll remember things that probably don't really matter. I'll just be like, oh my gosh, that one time Jessie did not listen to me and didn't get sushi with me. Yeah, that I'm gonna bring that up now. Like out of nowhere. And like 3 years ago, it passed. And you're just thinking,
Right.
it's like, what the heck? And then, so those things start to come up and they inconvenience us or kind of make us or push the wrong button. Those things may come up because we know exactly
Mm-hmm.
how to get at a person. And then with the stubbornness, we might nod yes to you, but action wise, we may never do it because we're like, why should we listen to you? And so I think the scary part about nines is that you will never know that we're against you until we disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the thing is because like I feel like stereotypically nines are known to be like, oh my gosh, everyone loves nines. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. But then the more, and not because of you, Yana, but the more I get to know like how nines really operate, I'm like,
Yeah.
dang, if people actually did a little bit of digging, nines kind of scare me in that sense because you will never know all of
Yeah.
a sudden, boom, it explodes in your face. And you're like, how did this happen?
Right.
Not that
It's
I'm
so
saying
true.
you have done it, but like,
It's true though. I've
yeah, I'm just like, oh my
uh,
gosh, should I be walking on eggshells? Are we good? No.
it's unfortunately you're not completely wrong, especially when in unhealth. I just don't find the need to address it. And when I mean don't address it, I mean just like don't at all. And I slowly disappear because honestly, I think that's where the sloth comes out. And that doesn't mean I'm
Mm,
lazy, but it's just like, why deal with something that's gonna end up bad anyway? Well, like we immediately
right.
go to like the worst case scenario. And then
Mm,
I don't, at least for myself, when you're, or even just anyone, when you're that burnt out, you just lose motivation, not just for work, but just all relationships as well.
mm,
You just are just so exhausted with life that unfortunately you kind of start looking inward, not in a good reflective way, but it's just all about woe is me, pity me, I'm
mm,
pathetic, oh my gosh, my life is sucks it. And even though it doesn't seem like you're being selfish, you're honestly living just a very self-centered life in your burnout. And so, and that's
mm.
exactly what I became. And sometimes
Interesting.
my tendencies are still there. So, because I'm still working out of the burnout, but learning to look inwards, not to avoid the turmoil, but to look inwards to learn from that and to grow from that. And it's so
Right.
much easier said than done.
Right.
But yeah.
Interesting. I feel like as you were sharing your experience, like I just think of different nines in my life besides you. And I'm like,
Right.
man, I see that. Or like, oh my gosh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just so interesting because like again, twos and nines look the same from
Mm-hmm.
the outside, just in a general standpoint, but
Right.
how we're processing it, how we're acting upon these things are so different.
Yeah.
And Yeah, it's so interesting. Like I feel like every time we share more about Enneagrams, I learn something new about you,
Mhm.
which is good.
Yay.
You're like, wait, is it good?
Is it good? I'm scared. People who listen to this. But I think it's because as much as we don't process, it's also because we don't have that practice of processing. We
Mm,
process so slowly.
mm.
Honestly, I don't think I realized what I was doing until years later.
We still then question, and I don't want to
Mm,
get too ahead of myself, but I want to ask this
no.
before I forget. Maybe we can talk about it later. But my question is, so then do you benefit from people intentionally asking you those questions to reflect? Or do you benefit more from, or would it push you away if people are too not nosy, but like persistent
Yeah,
about wanting to know how you feel? Just a question I thought
I know. And
of.
the reason why I pause is because there have been people who've done that.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, some people I'm okay with, and some people I'm not. And I think I've been really learning to figure that out
Mhm.
because I think, I keep saying I think. Oof, I'm careful with that because I don't know if it's because I don't trust them or
Mm,
is it because I have this gut feeling that they're trying to use that information. And it's not
mhm.
to like spread it to other people. I don't like that, of course, but I don't think that's my main worry. It's more that they're going to use this information to somehow make me reliant on them. And I'm
Mm.
like, don't do that. I don't need you.
Yikes. Cut, cut, cut. No, I'm kidding. Cut, 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 cut. Let's move
Sorry.
on to the next.
I'll,
No, I'm kidding.
no, I don't
No,
know.
yeah, I get
I
that.
think this is also a bad thing about me, but that I'm really, really trying to fix. But I hate it when they try to force closeness by getting information about me. And I feel like that's so subjective to how I feel. And so if
Right, because they genuinely might want to know you, and the way
yeah,
that they want to know you is through knowing you.
knowing you. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. But that go gets into a lot of other things. So I think I'm just trying to like skim over.
No, that makes sense. And a
Yeah.
lot of it, we did talk about this before. Like college was a huge part of us discovering more about ourselves, working through relational things. And so there's a
Right.
lot to unpack, not just with Wheaton, but with the people we met there, the
Right.
different, yeah, backgrounds, interactions. So before we move on though, Yana, is there anything else you want to share about your burnout patterns?
Hmm.
Before we move on either to my Enneagram or to the growth parts.
No, I mean, we'll probably go to your Enneagram after this. But I can't speak for all nines. Like we said in our previous episode, even within the same number, we're our own individual people, and so many different things impact us in different ways. Just the tendencies I've seen within burnout in general is I will do and say things that will possibly hurt people, and not necessarily because I'm aggressive and upfront, but because I will not leave you an explanation of why you're no longer in my life. And
It's like a lack of,
yeah,
right.
whether it's a good reason or a bad reason, there is a reason. I've decided for myself that I don't need to give a reason. And I'm not proud of it at all. I laugh because it hurts to say it out loud. And so I can hope that I did not leave too much of a scar to some people as I
Mm.
grew up. But yeah,
Yeah, I feel like
yeah,
there's so many follow-up questions I could ask to that, but I appreciate your vulnerability in like sharing that because that's not something that you could be like, yeah, this is
yeah.
me. And it's
You're,
uncomfortable. You're exposing like
I
the deepest,
know.
darkest flaws of you. So
Yeah.
thanks for doing that. Don't
Thank
expect the
you.
same from me,
What?
JK.
No, I don't expect it. It's a lot, but
But that's a
I could
lot.
not go
I'm
around
surprised you
it.
said it. I'm just so surprised you said that.
LOL.
But good for you. Good for
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Proud,
you.
proud.
Hey, get to the point. Now it's your turn. Moving
Stalling.
on.
Well, if you don't
Uh,
mind reading it and we can go through
yes.
each part. I'm
Oh,
sweating now.
I know. I'm pretty antsy now. But anyway, again, going with the twos. Twos start to become or look, excuse me, they start to manipulate and insert themselves more into others' lives and think that they need them or they need their help and that they know best what others need. And then second would be that they would start to complain more about how they do more in comparison to others or the lack of appreciation or acknowledgement for that help. And third, that they seem more frantic and chaotic to those around them as they are overcommitted.
Okay. I don't know which one to start with. I feel like I relate to the last one the least,
Okay.
but I do see the part where I overcommit.
Mm.
Um, that's like the story of my life. And I definitely saw that in high
Really?
school. What? But the thing is, I love it when I overcommit and I know how to like see this is my perfectionist in me. I love it when I overcommit, but I still know how to do it all. Like somehow I manage to like do it
Yeah.
all and not feel like I'm dying. Like that's like, whew, I feel so proud of myself. But then again, it's like,
LOL.
Jess, you cannot do it all. Like
Right.
don't feel like, you can get your crap together at any point. But I relate to the overcommitted and then therefore feeling anger, a lot of anger. I remember junior year of high school,
Mm.
I had friends that were just going through life and I didn't know how to be there for them as a friend. I didn't know what to do in that situation. So
Mm.
again, because I'm a helper, I felt so helpless. Um, and because I did not feel like I was fulfilling my purpose in that friendship, I felt very angry.
Yeah.
And that leaked into my other parts of my life. Like then I was busy doing all kinds of sports and whatever, but
Mm.
then I wasn't processing my emotions. And
Right.
so everything building up, I remember being so angry for no reason.
Hmm.
And that makes me a bad daughter. I'm lashing out at my family. That makes me
Right.
a bad friend. I'm not present. My mind is elsewhere.
Mm.
So I remember that a lot in high school. But let's see. I want to talk about the manipulation last because
And
that
that's why I
yeah.
didn't decide for you. I was like, I'm gonna let her go at her own pace.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate because that's the one that like stabs me the most.
I was not
Um
gonna say anything.
oh, anyway, but the second point that you said, Yana, was feeling unappreciated and
Mm,
feeling like, oh, I need more recognition or and it's
right.
so interesting that we're recording this podcast episode after like at least for me, I've had two surprisingly rough days that
Mm,
I've just felt so negative and I haven't felt this way in a long time. And Yana, I know you've been going through your own like lump of things.
right.
It's
It's
that
the
time of the
season.
month too.
It's ooh, love it.
So all the emotions are high right now, but it's like spot on. Like today at work, for some reason, I just felt so discouraged. I'm like, I feel like
Mm,
I cannot I don't have a moment to break. I have to
yeah,
keep my kids on top of everything. I have to make sure that the five aides that I manage, that I'm making sure they're okay, and like
right.
I set the vibe. If I am complaining or
So
discouraged,
true.
like that sets the tone for my
Uh,
classroom. And then I'm like, just you have to,
right.
be real. Like you can't just always act like everything's put together, like it's not.
Yeah.
But I feel like the weight of my responsibility that I feel with my job
Mm,
doesn't let me to feel like I can breathe. Like I'm never at work alone because I have adults, kids coming in and out of my classroom. I just don't have a second to breathe and just
right.
be in my thoughts. Clearly I'm ranting a lot because like I feel it live time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow,
No, I get that.
I'm doing all of this and I feel like no one sees it. Like they just
Mm,
think it's so easy. Oh, Jess is fine in the corner in her classroom because she's not complaining about it. She hasn't like brought any issues up. That doesn't mean
right,
I'm doing fine.
right,
That just means like I'm just trying to suck it up and deal with it. And I'm finding the balance between like, when do I advocate for myself?
right.
But also like sometimes I every little thing can't be a big problem. Like I have to
Mm,
think of the bigger picture here. So
right.
it's really just battling those two things. Yeah, I just felt that extra today.
I don't know if it's just purely special education. I can't say that, but because we are, I can't just help but think sometimes because of our flexibility in terms of our classroom and the way we teach, people equate that with we've got it easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I shouldn't feel this way. And I don't know if you can attest to it too, but that makes me so frustrated. I'm not saying I'm over here trying to tell the whole world we have a hard job. That is not at
Right.
all what we want to say. And neither do we want to get pity because we chose this because we
Right.
wanted to be here. But when someone then makes what we do and make it smaller than it is, and I can't help but think, guys, I'm not asking to be appreciated, but I'm also not asking that you undervalue the
Right.
things that we do. And so girl, I cannot, I'm not there lifetime, but I would not want to be there. I would be so mad.
Well,
So
yeah.
I see
And
you.
thank you. I feel very like heard by you. And again, this will probably be in our second episode for our topic of special education because, yeah, my takeaway from these past 2 days is like no one taught us in college or in life how to deal with adults and adult relationships. And for a 22
Ugh.
year old, 23-year-old 2 years ago to manage
Right,
adults with their own strong opinions, with their own experience
right.
in life. And yeah, anyway, I just sometimes that gets
That's
me,
crazy. Yep.
I'm like a 25-year-old trying to calm down a coworker that's going through life at the same time telling them what to do with our kids. And like it's sometimes it's just like I can't do it all. I can't.
Mm.
And when I don't feel like I'm recognized, that's when I get into my pity party.
Mm. I
But it's
can't
just
blame
fine.
you.
Jesus sees me. Jesus
Yeah.
sees me. So that's my whole spiel on our second place. So
Oh man. I love it. Okay, now
thank you. Moving on.
moving on.
I'm done.
No.
I'm done. Please, please.
I let you go in your own pace, but I'm not letting you avoid it. Okay, that's my thing.
Oh,
Just
guys,
kidding.
guys, this is so painful. Yana will not let me go on this one.
I'm sorry. If I went to it, you go through it. I'm not very forgiving, guys. I'm just kidding.
Yikes. Okay, okay, okay. I'm gonna put my big girl pants on. I'm gonna talk about this. It's about uh
The big M word.
manipulation. The big M word, manipulation. I think when I
Ooh.
first heard this at the table, literally at my apartment table, and Yenna explained this to me, I could not sit with myself. I'm like, how dare you call me manipulative? And manipulative is such a strong word,
It
guys.
is.
Like when I
I
hear
felt
that,
bad.
I feel like I'm in Mean Girls or something, you know? Like I'm like, guys, I'm literally like I'm nice. Like, what do you mean? It gets so
Whoa.
defensive. But then when I get defensive, that's when I'm like, okay, Jess, if you're getting so worked up about this, let's kind of unpack this, right? Jenna brought her stress ball out. She did it when she was talking about her own stuff. Why are you bringing it out for me?
Because these are things I
Oh,
told you.
well, yes, you did.
Oh my
And like,
gosh.
I tried to reflect on my life and I'm like, okay, as an oldest, especially with my parents, I see that most prevalent. Like, I
Mm,
had to fight for attention. Well, that's ironic because I am the oldest and I am getting a lot of attention in other ways. But like, mm, I had to quickly grow up and like I wasn't the kid anymore in the
right.
family. Like, I wasn't the youngest.
Mm,
So, my whole family knows that I'm the baby of the family. I literally, this is so gross,
Yes.
guys, but like I baby talk, like I want my parents to like give me what I want and I try to like be cute to get what I want, which is so disgusting. But like I do that and I'm like, okay, that I can see how that's manipulation. Like I pout if they don't give me something. They
How
tell
ironic.
me
I
like
literally
they
told my
can't
kid not
visit
to pout yesterday. I said, stop huffing and puffing. We're not doing that here.
me. I know. I tell my kids like, nope, don't give me that pouty face. And then in my head, I'm like, I'm totally like that. I totally get you, bro. I'm sweating. But yes, I see that.
Mm,
What's hard for me to accept though is how I could do that in friendships because I am such a relational person. And
mm,
for me, it's like, I care, I care, I care. But sometimes that care I can see
mm,
is turning into, oh, I know what's best for you. So let me somehow let you know what is best for you in a way that doesn't directly, because I'm an indirect person, directly tell you that. And so Yenna caught me on this. It hurts me that I have to admit that. Like that,
mm.
oh, that sucks.
It's okay.
It
Hey,
sucks.
it's
Yes. The
you're.
end.
I really wish you could see her right now. Her face is bright red. She start to glisten.
Because like my intention is good and I don't even recognize that I'm doing it.
Yeah, she
Really.
doesn't.
I
I can
don't
attest to that.
recognize. I'm not like calculating this.
Yes.
But when I look back at it, I'm like, oh, I can see how I really wanted in the back of my head, really wanted that person to do this thing or
Yeah.
join this thing or be this way. Let's wrap this up.
Mm.
Okay. Give me your comments and let's move on.
I'm I appreciate that you were honest and that you're vulnerable. And I think it's true. I can say that she does not mean it in a way to try to snatch you up and put you in a sack. I can see it is also damaging to relationships, especially when they don't know intentions to see or any
Right.
other twos out there or anyone who has this tendency. Unfortunately, that is, even though that may be a way that you give love and you, but it might not always be how one would receive love. For
Mm,
example, if someone, like I said before, as a nine, when someone tries to learn more about me, I get very wary of it, which I don't mean to, but I'm like, why did they want to care about me and like learn about me and try to get some information out of me? Is immediately my thought process. So of course, as a nine, I
mm-hmm,
need to pause and reevaluate and say, not everyone does that. I can see how someone like me or someone else who doesn't know you, Jessie, could
mm-hmm.
also take that and be like, what
Yikes.
is this chick up to?
Yeah.
But
Fair.
again, on the outs as an outsider, we should also pause to really reflect and see, okay, this may not be their intention. Yeah. So it's like learning to communicate these things with those who love you.
Yeah. Well, and I was gonna add one more thing. Like, I
Yes.
got that manipulation experience from another too. And I was
Hmm.
like, ding, 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 ding. It's manipulation.
Pain.
But no, my friend literally came up to me because I met her friend for the first time. And I was like, oh my gosh, she seems like a great person, like very smart and
Right.
intelligent. And she's like, oh, like she actually doesn't feel that way. So you should, I would really recommend you tell that to her. And I'm
Oh.
like, oh, well, I don't want, now that you want me to tell her, I'm not going to tell her
Yeah.
because I would tell her if I felt led to tell her. Don't tell me to tell her.
I
So
was
then I'm
triggered
like,
there.
oh my gosh, that ding, 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 ding. I will not do it on purpose. So then I didn't do it. But I was
Mm,
like, wow, is that how is do when I am manipulating or like have those tendencies, is that what it sounds like? Because that is so obvious and that is so like yikes, because that person's intention is good. Like they know their friend stayed and their confidence level and they just want to build them up,
hmm.
but they know that like they're not going to do it. It won't mean as much if they do it, so they want someone
Right.
else to do it. And
Right.
that's good, right? Like we all want to lift each other up, but you don't want to force someone to do
Yeah.
that. So then I was like, okay, I get where you're coming from, but I'm not going to do this because you told me to. I will do it if
Yes.
I feel like I need
Yeah.
to. So let's end there. I
So many
want to
things to
move
say, but
on.
I don't
Please,
want to at the
let's
same
move
time.
on before it gets ugly.
LOL. But
Okay.
yes.
I'm sweating
No.
too much. I need a sweat break.
Why are you sorry? I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, this is what this is for.
LOL. Oh, too
Let's
much.
talk about growth. Let's talk about growth.
Let's talk about being better, guys. JK. Um,
So let's do it in a system where like, because I know there's like one or two things about it and it's scripture based or like
mhm.
biblical based.
Yes.
So do you want to read one of them and then answer kind of your comments on it and then
Yeah,
read another one?
I
Let's do
like
that.
that. I like that. Okay. So again, I'll start from mine. Okay, weirdly, nines didn't have a crazy scripture-based one, but I'll start with number one, which was to resist the urge to shut down, instead lean in and talk to a trusted friend about the feelings that arise with feeling overwhelmed. This was a very difficult one for me. I think
Mm,
so much of the time I convinced myself I didn't have one. And to this day is one that I really, really wrestle with. But the biggest reason that was the case was that this goes back to all the way till as long as I remember, but I just convinced myself no one was trustworthy, and
mm,
neither did I find anyone that I wanted to lean on. It
mhm,
just led to disappointment for me. And so when it came to going to college and I told myself I would just somehow build friendships because I am a relational person, I left it at a surface level. First of all, that's kind of how I wanted to do. Finally, when everything was kind of shutting down on me to the point that I was losing control of it,
mhm,
I had nowhere else to go but to talk to a person. That's when I realized, oh my goodness, I need to talk to somebody.
mhm,
And I was very blessed and still is very blessed to have people that was just right there when I needed it. I was turning a blind eye to all of them, including Jessie. I really want to challenge myself and other nines, even though that person you talk to initially may not be there anymore, start somewhere
mhm,
and it will be okay, because eventually you get to a place where you will recognize those tendencies more, which kind of
mm,
seeps into the second point, which is to enjoy deep friendships. Really, I would not have been able to work out of such a rut this quickly if it wasn't for the time I spent with Jessie talking through so many of these things. Stop. But really, I would still be in the same place. I think I'll still be locked up in a corner of my room in Illinois, moping about my mediocre life. And it was not because my life was mediocre, it was just my mindset.
mm,
As I processed through it, I eventually finally got to a place of what do I really want in life, which led
right.
to so many cool things, including this podcast. So really cherish the people that you come in contact with. And something my dad would say, whether it's 30 seconds to 30 years, know that you will leave like an imprint in someone's life. So don't ever take those things for granted, which is a lesson, unfortunately, now that I'm now starting to apply. And
Mm,
last but not least, go outside and decompress, engage with the world. I'll be honest, I'm still getting there. I am an extreme homebody. It's so unhealthy. But I will say there's never a time that I regretted going on a walk, except in Texas when it's like 100 million degrees outside. Yes, you will see me at my peak irritation mode, but when I go to, okay, the beach is my weak point. I can't believe I've not lived by a beach for this long, because that's all I knew growing up. Pain. But anyway, I'm learning to go outside more and being okay with not just being by myself and
mm,
fellowshipping with others. and learning to be uncomfortable. I don't like even a little bit of uncomfortableness. That's why I wear baggy clothes. I just go to work, I come back home, I just want to watch Netflix and do nothing. But learning to actually build up memories and experiences and engaging with people so that I will actually have things to kind of like stories to tell
Right.
instead of just saying, I lived a sad life because I did that to myself. The biggest thing would be, I know I say this word over and over again because it's so true, is that nines, we need to engage. We're always on autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
maneuvering through life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's time to wake up and face the world for once.
Right.
Life is short. I mean, there's so much more to say. I really am learning to not do that. Of course, once in a while, it's okay to decompress and stay in your bed a little longer than normal, especially when you're cramping like there's no tomorrow. You can give yourself grace.
And I like that we're doing this episode at the beginning of the year because as we're saying these things, it's allowing us to remind ourselves and to set the
Mm,
tone for this year of
yeah.
like, yeah, I haven't figured it out. I'm still working on it, but I'm going to remind myself that like I will work on it and like it's kind of like having everyone be accountable for us too, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's so cool that we're doing this at this
But also
time.
be gentle. Just kidding.
Yes.
But yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
your turn.
Can you read one at a time for
Yes,
me?
I will.
Thanks.
So, with twos, the first one is to base your value on being Christ's beloved.
Uh,
Enough said.
enough said. Move on. But it's the truth because I try to, I place my value in how good of a friend I am. Like I said in previous episodes, like how good of a friend I am. People understanding my true intentions, people knowing that my heart's in a good place, that I'm a good person, etc. But again, burnout happens when I'm not connecting with God, when I
Mm,
am not reminded that my worth doesn't come from what I do. It's solely because God sees value in me, just
mm,
me being me without any other of those like positive or negative things about me. He just sees me and loves me. And that's so hard for me to live out because it's so ingrained in my daily life. But especially during burnout, I forget that. I push it to
right.
the sidelines. So, yeah.
Number two, express more clearly your needs.
I'm
Yes.
so bad at this.
Honestly,
Even
same.
today, yeah, it's like in every small thing, even at work, like advocating for myself. For some reason, I can't, it's so hard for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I mean, this will be another podcast probably, but I've made huge realizations of me realizing I don't really value myself and I
Mm,
don't feel like I deserve to take up space in someone's life and deserve to share my needs, that I'm
mm,
worth a person being taken care of and listened to.
right.
I'm always putting it on the other person because deep down, I don't believe that the same can be done for me,
Mm,
which is weird because I
so
also
wrong.
express it in different ways, right? I express it in different ways that I want that. And I'm
Yeah,
like, well, okay, but I'm not acting like I want that.
right.
So,
Is it okay to add to that? I think the importance of it clearly expressing your needs is to, of course, to learn that you are worthy of it, but
mhm,
also to prevent possible resentment.
for sure.
I've noticed how so much of my, at least for myself, was at the end of the day, whenever I am get to a place where I just feel so misunderstood, I can't help but bring up all the things that people have not done for me. And then I think about it
Mhm.
more. It's because I never
Mhm.
said anything.
Right,
Yeah. So, anyway,
right.
sorry. I didn't mean to take up what you were saying, but just
No,
wanted to say.
that's a whole nother episode because both you and I relate to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Hmm. Anyway, last but not least, spend rejuvenating time with yourself.
Which honestly, I've been pretty good at
I
this
know.
2022, 2023 year. I'd say like I've grown tremendously in that. And
Yeah.
again, my burnout season, like I shared in like episode 1 or 2, I didn't even know I was in a burnout season. I was just numbing myself and I didn't
Mm,
realize it until I got out of it because I wasn't taking care of myself. When I wasn't checking in with myself, that would create a lot of insecurities and doubts.
mm,
And it would just leak in really ugly ways because I felt like I had to have it together when that goal isn't really attainable or realistic because I'm trying to do it alone. I'm trying to do
right.
it on my own with my
Mm,
own strength. And yeah, it just gets me so fired up because it really just takes me like take loving on myself, giving myself that time to reflect and journal, giving myself that time to watch an extra show
yeah.
or eat another box of chocolate. Like I can do that for myself.
Right.
So being just really
True.
being kind to myself.
Yes. Being
Yeah.
gentle. I love it. I love when Jessie randomly texts me photos of what she ate that day and say, "Oh my goodness, guess what?" And I'm like panicking on the other side because I think something terrible happened. And then she sends me a picture of like sashimi or this fudge she got and how she sprinkled her fancy salt on it. And I'm over here thinking the worst thing possible. I'm like, "You good? Someone died? The kid threw a chair at your head?" And I'm just trying to think, not go there, but all I text is, "Yeah." And in my head, I'm trying to think, okay, did something happen at school? Did she get into an accident? Anyway, but it's my favorite. I can
Oh,
attest to the fact that she is doing a really good job with that.
thank you, thank you.
Amazing.
Remember when I almost killed us because in the car because I got so excited about a restaurant option because we were both being indecisive?
I don't remember that, but I'm glad I don't remember it.
I was like, Yana. And you're like, what? What? As
Oh
we're
my, yes,
driving.
I
And
do
you're like,
remember that.
I want to go to Torizen.
You scared me. I genuinely thought like we forgot something really bad, but all she wanted was tonkatsu.
Oh, highlight of our friendship.
Dude, that was amazing. It was a highlight,
It
and also
was.
another a confirmation of Jesse's love for food. The only friend in this world, I'm going to expose you a little bit, but the only friend in my entire life of friendships who cries when a food is so delicious. No, legitimate tears falling down her face.
I've only cried like a couple times.
Dude, once is more than enough.
That's what I feel like sad about is about this whole podcast thing is I wish you guys knew how much we love food. That's something that we can't like convey.
I think one
You
of
guys
these
can't see
days,
it.
you
Hmm.
we should, when you visit me, I'm making her visit me, which is another surprise. But anyway, we should
Yay.
take a video of us cooking and eating, and then we can do a little talking thing. That'll be so fun.
Wow. Wow. You've really thought this through. That's a great idea.
Girl, I'm all about this content creation. Call me a content
Yes.
creator. What? Just kidding. Cringe. Sorry.
No, but be excited. No. Yana loves it though. Yana secretly just like loves it. She doesn't mind staying up late till 2 a.m. to do this.
No, I
Um,
don't.
stay tuned for the content that I didn't know about. Oh my gosh, this makes me so excited.
I've been thinking about it.
Of course you are. Of
I
course.
know.
I love it. Any last comments before we wrap up this episode? I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
we both shared more than we thought we would.
A
And
lot.
it's because we can just relate to it live time. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay, if you're in a little bump in a little mini
Yeah.
burnout sesh right now. Like,
Hmm.
we've got
And
tools, we've got ways to get back to the green zone.
right. Yes, the green zone.
Hmm.
More than anything, I do want to leave with this is that this starting point is being aware, and the
Right.
journey needs to be full of grace. Or
Mm,
else it's
amen.
like going to the gym. You get so fired up about it. You go and you run 100 miles and you just burn out immediately because you put everything in one box. And then you come home and then when you miss a day, you feel so guilty that you just quit doing it.
Hmm.
You need to pace yourself. And if you mess up, don't just sit there and be like, I'm a messy person, I'm a terrible person. Nope, dust your dust yourself off and try again. It's really about the effort, not about perfection. So I'm telling myself that right now.
I know. I felt like you were telling that to me. So I was like, oh,
Yes.
get to be reminded. No, this is helping me turn around my week. So thank you.
Yes, me too. Man, not that I think Jessie definitely had a rougher start, but I'm just having a physically rough start right now. But anyway,
Pain is pain.
well, this is a good start to 2023 where really I did kind of say that we wanted to grow more in our maturity and be bold with our content. Ooh, I did not mean it to come this quickly.
Really
But
challenged us.
hey, we did this. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope this also encourages you all to take time to reflect on areas where you are feeling burnout and the tendencies in that, and making steps to move forward from the burnout, because we weren't meant to be wasted out in our life, but to move forward and be the best we can be. Yes, thank you all for listening. Please rate our Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow our Instagram, especially our Instagram. That's where all our updates are, and all our links are. So that would be awesome. And yes, cannot wait to share more in our next episode. Not specifically about this, but more to come. But yes, thank you, and we'll see you again.
Bye.
Bye.